I work with Novartis Pharmaceuticals based in Hyderabad. I am a statistical programmer and my basic background is Masters in Statistics. I got drawn to Ayurvedic research working with Ashwini and Vivek, and this started about 3 years ago. And this was the first attempt in terms of understanding something about Ayurvedic clinical trials. So, in this case, we all know what is good research. So, what we would like to do, the questions which Ranjini talked about, that we know enough about the quality of the clinical trials which is happening within the Ayurvedic fraternity. What did we do is we went through our current content database, which allowed us to go through close to 80 to 85 different papers, journals, and the journals which were available online, which were in English, we were able to pick up those papers for those clinical trials. Why we are saying the sample is biased? Because we did not do any research from, say, journals written in either Marathi or Hindi or any of the regional languages. We did not do any libraries where there were some of the other articles which were written only on the paper. We tried to judge the papers based on consort guidance, Gerard Burritt score, and the basic questions we tried answering. There were 7 questions which we tried answering. I'll come to that. So this was the flow chart which we used. So we went through time frame of 98 to 2010. Why did we choose this time frame? Because around 96, 97, that's when consort folks started putting in terms of work on their consort guideline, and it got published first in 99, and then there was a further amendment done in 2010. We looked at about 1870 potential papers, and what we have on the middle section is we got about 139 studies across these different papers. Out of these, there were only 30 full texts which we could get our hands on to. We had 29 abstracts available, and in about 80 different trials were available through various systematic reviews which we could actually access through this search.
Let me just ask a quick question. If it was not available as an electronic file, what did you do?
Yeah, that's what I mentioned, that it is going to be a biased sample. Right now, we do not actually go and ask the library that you provide us. So that is the data which we are doing now. Because the data is 3 years old now, so we are conducting the same analysis again.
I really think that's important.
Yeah. So,
sorry, there's one other thing, okay? Just so you know, if you're doing literature, standardized, systematic literature reviews, using one source like PubMed probably is not sufficient. So, for example, cross-checking it with Embase or another one probably will help you pick out just a few more articles.
This time we have used Cochrane, right? So this
Cochrane. Okay, well that's sort of a half better. We'll give you that.
But no, it's already a sample. There's no things going there.
You have used Embase, isn't it? For the previous one.
here we went through various data.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have many.
Yeah.
So, just to start, I'm not here to criticize what you did. I'm here to point out what the general principles are.
Oh, absolutely. And criticism is very welcome.
Yeah, but you know, criticizing just to criticize, that's not
Yeah.
Sure. Okay, so out of these all 139 studies which we could get to, we had only 33 studies which were randomized clinical trials, and Gerard's score is based on 5 different questions: whether randomization was done, whether sequence was concealed or not, what sort of randomization was, single blind, double blind, how was the random numbers were generated, and whether they were generated correctly or not. So Gerard attributes negative mark for something which was done incorrectly. So out of these 33 trials, we can see only 3 of the trials score a 3-year rating. So it tells us that okay, we had some RCTs, they were not of very good quality.
Again, a small point, because this is right, the GAD score is used by most people. I think people are switching over to the grade system. The capital G-R-A-D-E. The reason it is, just so you know, and it's a general feeling.
Yeah.
The grade system says, look, there are enough data here so that it's unlikely that further data is going to change what we found. Or there's some likelihood, or there's a lot of likelihood. So it gives the person who's reading a feeling of how strong the data really are.
Right. So we can incorporate this point. We are in the process of redoing this analysis based on only randomized trials. So this will help us get to this point. Thank you for listening. So what are the different observations which we could draw? Majority of the trials were from India. Only 7% of the studies included discussions on Ayurveda, and some of these points could go back to the point which was made by Ranjini, that even if say a researcher wanted to write something about Ayurveda, could the limit in terms of words be a factor in terms of not really writing everything about the disease which the researcher is. No study described Ayurveda as endpoint. So a lot of times there was, if I were to use force fitting of Ayurvedic treatment and Western endpoint. So we saw a lot of these happening. You could see population bias. Only 5% of the studies had negative end result, where they showed that okay, some treatment having origin in Ayurveda did not actually help people. Only 55% of the trials actually reported for how long the treatment was given. And out of these 140 studies, I think we had close to 10,000 patient data. And on an average, the study duration was 20 weeks. So this prompted us some questions in terms of so is this duration which is used within the clinical trials is reflective of the true clinical practice? So that is a question which we are trying to answer through our latest review. The thing which we did not do is we did not classify these trials on various therapeutic areas per se, and whether the disease condition was either acute or chronic. So that is the next step which we are doing now in terms of identifying what is the disease area, whether the disease was acute or chronic, and what was the duration. So this research will help us diagnose this further. The data reflects attempts made by various people using traditional medicine in Western framework and scope for improvement in terms of methodology. That I think one of the slides which we have put, but about 50% of the papers did not explain what sort of clinical trial design was used. Only 50% of the papers actually said that was it observational, was it prospective study, was it retrospective, any of that sort. So this is again tying back to the questions which Ranjini tried answering. And is it a question of transparency? Is it a question of being totally scientific? And what sort of ethical issues? Because statistically there has been proof that smaller studies with smaller sample sizes end up overestimating the treatment effect. So is it good for patients? Is it bad for patients? Is it good for society? So these kind of questions are coming up. So while we are trying to align with the CONSORT guideline of 20 or 25 points, we are trying to relate these points to these three key pillars. So how do we see scope for improvement, duration of the study? If we are going to use, say, these guidelines to put this, not force, but encourage people to use duration which is of reflective of the clinical setting. Comparison study and optimal sample size should be used to be ethical, and how do we incorporate scientific principles in our research?
Can you explain that to me? What does it mean incorporating Ayurvedic principles? I mean, that's the description of Ayurvedic medicine that you're going to say. So how is that different, for example, than saying we used classic Ayurvedic medicine as practice in Bangladesh? So, what would be different?
I give my example and some of you can add on. So, what we saw a reductions approach. So, out of say panchakarma and then the medicine and then some sort of exercise, if this is the real Ayurvedic treatment, then we saw some treatment. Only this tablet is given, which is converted from a kashaya to a tablet, and is given to patients. And then it turns out that okay, the dosing is in normal. So that's what it means.
So what you're saying is it's not completely Ayurveda, but it's not prescribed either.
Secondly, I think it's the second point. We do not know whether what was used. We just think that they have used the reductionist approach.
Good point. Very good.
And next is the disease definition. Yeah, that is any modern conventional disease definition, you cannot exactly sort of trace it back to the text, because text has I would say a wider definition of health, and therefore a more higher level of threshold for when you call a person as diseased.
Ayurvedic methodology of diagnosing a disease as well as modern methodology and nomenclature is very different. That has to be understood. That you faced in
You are saying something
trial also.
Even there is a paper published that use of Ayurvedic diagnostic criteria. That is also a systematic review on how many trials use the Ayurvedic diagnostic criteria.
Yes.
I don't remember
They
which
should-
journal.
all the trials are inclusion criteria are diagnostic standards of modern medicine. But then when we start discussing about the Ayurvedic perspective, like as he was telling, like all diabetes is not a problem. That we find out as a
It
clinician.
depends on the individual journals also. When we are going to
Yeah, but then when we have
I think you all need to take a step back here. Okay? You need to take a step back. It depends on who you're trying to communicate.
Yes.
If you're going to communicate within the Ayurvedic community, have a good time. If you're going to try and communicate with the external, let's call it external community, you're going to have to make them comfortable. You're going to have to do that by using criteria that they understand. And consequently, it's a decision you can make.
See, Dr. First, what was happening was that you do the trial without the transparency, you do not know what was the thinking behind what is reported in the trial. What I've seen is that different from Western biomedicine, suppose a trial comes out negative, that's pretty much the end of that treatment in Western biomedicine. Here it does not end. Even a negative trial, then there are enough reasons given. Well, we did not follow the principles which are in the text, so we will do another one, and those kind of things are there. And that's where the problem is, and you're absolutely right.
So I would like to intervene here that sometimes within Ayurvedic communities that there are different schools of thinking, like Pune school of thinking. Here you go to the Madhushanita and this one is that we think ourselves, no?
No, but the problem is that, but we'll get to it because I think there's some more good data there. We'll get to the discussion.
I'll shut up. Shut up and let me finish. I heard it.
Discussion took us right there, what was speaking, and how do we extend the reach of Ayurveda to our network? So is it going to be only internal to Ayurvedic fraternity versus to the external folks, or to a layman like me, who is not a Western doctor, as well as the Ayurvedic doctor? So this is the question for safety and efficacy. So that has been a huge question that just because Ayurveda has survived for so long, should we consider it to be 100% safe? I would like to be, but how do we prove it using data? So, dealing with design that can matter, we should do a complex intervention. So, just to give some background, I work with Nordics for oncology trials, and we know that how some of these combination therapies are making our life difficult in terms of designing a trial, even within Western medicine. So, I think we are hitting the same sort of problems which Western medicine went to maybe say 1970s and 80s, or even 90s, and now how the Asian approach and other advanced techniques are getting used in getting the dealing with intervention which could have synergistic effects, so the combination trials which I just spoke about, and dealing with complex endpoints. And this was one of the points which generated a lot of discussion, that what do you mean by an endpoint? Is there a movie way of thinking? Is there a movie way of thinking? Is there south, north, dark, white? So that is still needs to be handled. And this is one of the sections which we found very difficult to write when we are writing our checklist. What do we mean by complex endpoint? So again, going back to the three pillars, how do we become transparent? How do we become scientific? And how do we care about the ethical issues surrounding what we deal with human beings? So I'll hand it over back to Ranjani to explain or elaborate further on the checklist.